Good morning, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today it is my great pleasure and I feel greatly honored for this opportunity to have a speech for the special address for the deeper engagement of India and ASEAN. First and foremost, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry of India for the precious effort for promoting ASEAN-India cooperation in trade and services, Confederation of India Industry in organizing this event, and to all representatives for their warm welcome and generous hospitality. As you are all aware, ASEAN-India relations have grown rapidly in the 1992 and further accelerated with the convening of the ASEAN-India Summit in promoting the plan of action to implement the ASEAN-India Partnership of Peace, Progress, and Shared Prosperity 2016 to 2020. The POA 2016 to 2020 spells out and sets the causes of the joint actions, practical cooperation, and concentrate projects and activities. So in this connection with this section, let me explain a little bit more about our country, Myanmar, formerly known as Burma. No matter how you call Myanmar or Burma, we are the same family of ASEAN countries, especially the India here now, because most of our people, Myanmar or Burmese, all stay here in India, and also some Indian people staying in Burma for a long time. So it is a good relations between Myanmar and India because we have a long history before, and we cooperate each other, not only in the economy, but also for the family-like habits. One of the distinctive, very clear attitude is terms and some foods are almost all the same as Myanmar and India. That's why we have a long tradition of the Indian foods in Myanmar, something like the roti or chapati or whatever. Even for the potato, we call the same like aloo in Myanmar language. So that is the most important thing, because that is what I like to emphasize. The Myanmar and Indian are almost the same and also near, closer to each other. Nowadays, we are very close, more closer, because of this kind of events we have already arranged. So let me go a little more about economic cooperation between ASEAN and India. It remained relatively low compared with other dialogue partners in the former decades. However, foreign direct investments, FDI, law is also flown from the India to ASEAN increased by 9.4% from 0.96 billion US dollars in 2015 to 1.05 billion US dollar in 2016. On the other hand, trade between India and ASEAN is targeted to double up by 2022 from an estimated of 100 billion US dollar in this year alone. This estimation comes from the implementation of ASEAN-India Free Trade Agreement that was signed in 2009 has already resulted in a significant increase in trade between the two economies to over 74 billion US dollar in the next year. According to the business ties between two economies, the trade level is below our true potential and hope that the FTAs in goods, when reviewed, will lead to better efficiency and results. Also, this section will discuss a way to boost up economic ties and strengthen up political connections and civil society interaction between those involved. So, Myanmar and India, we have a long history, as I mentioned before. Nowadays, we are in the IT age, because in this age, everybody is closer and closer, and also we can communicate each other better. So one of the most important idea we like to mention is we have to use up all the information technology as much as possible in every area. So as I am responsible for the industry in Myanmar, but not only for this industry, but all for others ministries like Hotel and Tourism or Ministry of Commerce or Education or whatever, we have to cooperate more and more through this ASEAN agreement. So our policy in Myanmar to educate our people as much as possible. Also, our idea is not only to concentrate on the technology alone, but our technology, we have the one solution that is a common denominator we have to do is the technology. We have to go through technologies to use up in any aspects in daily life, so we can generate more and more activities and job opportunities for everybody, starting from the human resources development. So among these younger generations, it is very important to mention that your Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, have mentioned long time before and even recently, whatever the future is we desire of, we must keep youth at the center. So we are also, with the same way, to put the younger generation in the center in order to handle the future in their hand. So it is very important. The youth for our nation is tremendous energy of the youth, and distinctive efforts from the outcomes have to exploit for the nations. So ASEAN have to concentrate on the younger generation in order to sustainable development for the future of every nations. So as for Myanmar, it is found to be trading at about 15% of the potential, mostly by the SMEs from the younger generations. The bulk of this gap is explained by very low trade with the industrialized countries. But the reintegration with the world economy compared by deep economics reforms domestically, Myanmar would be expected to be closing this gap rather swiftly. If we have a glance to Myanmar's trading, Myanmar's export basket is heavy in fuels, natural gas, foods and other primary commodities, including precious stones and gems, which together constitute nearly 90% of total exports. Myanmar's gradual integration with the world economy and normalized, unsanctioned access to the European and American markets may thus be expected to fill this gap at least in this part. For particular importance are in the process of hindrance to growth by enhancing institutional and business environment, modernizing the financial sectors, liberalizing state and foreign direct investments in order for the systematic and effective implementation for deeper engagement and inclusive development, and comprehensive and workable policies and laws would definitely be required, and these laws would be provided as a baseline towards the progress of ASEAN-India economy as a whole. In addition to this, our effort should focus on how to integrate the policies in order to provide incentives and exemptions that figure out about the outcomes of better collaboration, mainly in better jobs and higher incomes, better returns on goods sold, greater affordability of essential goods and services. Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, in ASEAN, that is very important in processing the harmonization of related products standards with 11 working groups in order to encourage the ASEAN integration on standards conference, as well as to reform Myanmar manufacturing sector. But now for Myanmar, it is a very hard time to start up because we have almost no standardization in the industry at all. So we are going to start up new industrial standard in Myanmar, like the Indian standard or some other standards. We will announce very soon. So with the use of this standard, the government of Myanmar initiated the standardization program since 2013. And some relevant industrial products is one of the sensitive issues, and it is really important not only for industrial development, but also to assess regional and global market after enforcing the ASEAN integration. Regarding to this ASEAN integration on standards and quality, Minister of Industry is responsible for 3 working groups, namely JSC, EEE, RBPWG, and APWG as a focal ministry. We are doing right now for starting up some chemical industry. And currently we are trying to improve Myanmar automotive industry also and refining our automotive policy before and law. Amendment process on the automobile law before is ongoing. So far according to Myanmar stakeholders' comments and suggestions. That is very important for the Myanmar for the time because we have changed a lot of policies already in Myanmar for importation and also for even for the driving systems. But long time before, we are among ASEAN countries like India, because we are the British colonial country before, and we used to be to the left-hand drive before, but now, in a few years back, we have changed to the right-hand drive. So in our law, we have to follow up those laws according to the driving system. That is a right-hand drive system. So nowadays, we are trying to finalize this policy and coming into effective very soon. Moreover, Ministry of Industry is also trying to regulate the standardization for the component parts for the automotive industries. So 19 components and systems gone to the harmonization with UN regulations. So cooperation in this area of some kind of new technologies in the electric vehicles production, along with the related batteries or transfer of technologies on charging stations or maintenance systems as well. That is very important for the time being, as we are very aware of energy sector and pollution from those harmful emissions from the cars and automobiles. So our country have to set country standard as the emission standards for the automobiles using nowadays. So that is very critical issues for Myanmar because of the higher tech engines and systems are using a very high standard, emission standard, and also using the very fine fuels impossible in Myanmar nowadays. So we have to be very careful for the availability of the clean fuels for our new technologies. But for electric vehicles, that is almost clean technologies forever. So we are starting with the electric also to start up the Myanmar automotive policies very rapidly. So another one point to mention is not only for the electric versions, some other alternative type of fuels can be used in Myanmar as long time before. We used for the CNG gas or LPG gas to use to drive the cars. But nowadays there is a lack of the availability of the CNG gas. So it is almost stopped now. But we have to find out some other ways to provide the proper fuels for the transportation for day to day. So that can make a sense of address the challenges of the environmental issues through the use of cleaner, greener technologies and sustainable forever. Such cooperation can also facilitate the regional smart cities development also. So we have our town planning for the new government, we have to increase our industrial zones all over the Myanmar. So in this aspect, we need a special design and developer to come over to Myanmar to check, to cooperate and participate in the smart cities development. Myanmar needs knowledges and standardization and some guidelines from the ASEAN Indian member countries in order to speed up our standardization process. So I would like to ask our member states to share your experience and knowledges on automotive standards and regulations and helping and ensure the safety, quality, and effectiveness of the products and services. And also there are one remaining issues to consider in Myanmar right now, is Myanmar have no supporting industries for the automobile, any kinds of industry as well, because of the lack of technologies and skillful labors. So nowadays, we are planning to train our younger generation, even some workers in the meantime, for the proper training, especially for the vocational training centers. So it is quite a good coincidence for Myanmar right now, because we are going to sign up one MOU between Indian government and Myanmar for two special cases. There's one for the textile and garment industry at the Upper Myanmar very soon. Another one for the rubber and tires and rubber-based technologies and maybe some cosmetic industries in the Lower Myanmar near the Thonville city. So that is a point I'd like to mention. These two industrial revolution, starting from these vocational training centers, together with the Indian government, shall be signed very soon with the visit of our State Councillor, Excellency Aung San Suu Kyi will visit very soon. She will have a signing ceremony for this project. And another one for the HRD, Human Resources Development, shall be goes to the one industrial training school managed by the Indian government before, that is a Hindustani Machine Tools Department. They have provided for the almost all to review all the machineries and equipment and even for the curriculums for the training. So let me emphasize on one important curriculum to be provided is the innovative ideas starting from the design and innovative training. That is very important for the younger generation to innovate new ideas very rapidly. So in this sense, one of the most important things is the design of the new products, and the specification is very important to specify definitely in the beginning time. So we have some vocational training schools specially designed for the design and drafting of the mechanical parts and also of the electronics. That is done by the German government before in the near central Burma, that is near Prom, PA. So GIZ have provided some new technologies and training equipments to those vocational schools. So in that sense, we have some automotive mechanics course is already done with the new technical development systems, but one is missing to fulfill is for the mass production. That is very important to make the design or some small tools for the mass production consistently according to the design and specifications. That is the jigs and fixture design. So I have learned that kind of subjects long time before in Japan through the Toyota and Nippon Denso before. Like that kind of jigs and fixture design should be provided for the younger generations in order to manufacture quality products consistently for any production. Because for the SMEs to boost up right now, they may have some kinds of knowledges and production facilities, but it's not up-to-date technologies, and they can not assure of the performance and quality for every product. That is very important for the Myanmar right now to be able to catch up those very simple and effective usage of the jigs and fixtures to use for the proper design consistently forever. So that kind of jigs and fixture design is, I have learned that in Hyderabad in here, it's a very famous training here where we can make some design jigs and fixtures, even for the tools and dies making courses. Some of the engineers from Myanmar have already trained over there, but it is high-tech engineering subjects to start up. That is only suitable for the engineers and some higher ranks officials, but not for the younger skillful laborers. So we have to be competitive with those compatible engineers and workers and mechanics should be work in hand together with the help of those effective technologies to use. So in my conclusion, for the accelerated economic development between ASEAN and India, declining tariff levels under ASEAN and India trades in goods management, increasing urbanization and new special economic zones along the borders, border trade between ASEAN and India should be strongly implemented, and we have to take efforts in these areas by cooperating each other. I also would like to hand in hand with all of you towards the betterment of ASEAN-India relations. Before the conclusion, let me say that the message from our government is going to privatize most of our state-owned enterprises and factories, known as SOEs, to reform into the private-public partnership models as soon as possible. So I can provide the list, a long list of about 59 factories still available to privatize soon. So everybody who is willing to cooperate with us are warmly welcome here, and we can provide you all the lists, and we are hoping to cooperate with India more and more very soon. Thank you very much.